You can say quiet on set.
Quiet on the set. Action.
African Americans in Grand Rapids came in about 2 or 3 waves. The first real large migration of African Americans is after the Civil War in the 1870s. A small group comes from Canada and works at a barrel making place for C.C. Comstock. And then that community grows. It's still very small, less than 1%. And then in the 1920s, black people come from the deeper South, and they begin to come to Grand Rapids. And then that is halted in the 1930s because of what we historically call the Great Depression. And then the World War II attracts African Americans throughout the state of Michigan to work in the foundries, to work in other places in industry. And after World War II, the black community grows much larger. In Grand Rapids, it grows to 8% of the total population. And then over the years, now it has grown to 20% of the total population of the city of Grand Rapids proper.
Place called Chatfield, Arkansas. That's where I was born and raised. We didn't do nothing but farm. We pick cotton, chop cotton and all that. Everybody just stayed to themselves. We all stayed in the black school and the whites in the white school. They didn't bother one another. While I went to school, I had a nice teacher. She was pretty. She didn't bother nobody. She taught us. Yeah, but they ain't never bothered me and my dad, because my dad didn't bother nobody. He just dip his snuff and smoke his Prince Albert tobacco. But he didn't bother nobody. They all liked him. There was other ones down there that they liked him, the black people. And some they just didn't like, because they'd make them do something to them. You know, they'd do something that the white man didn't like, and he'd tear them up. But I know a lot of the musicians that was down there. When I was singing spiritual, we didn't even have no music. We made our music from our mouth. We used to sing spiritual and had a bass singer. They'd be boom, 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 boom. Just going like that, you know, growling with the mouth when they sung. And sung all over Arkansas. I knew B.B. King in Memphis, Tennessee, because I had a choir down there, and I used to sing in West Memphis on the Sunday morning over KWM. I had a choir, and our choir was named Heaven Bound Quartet. We had so many programs on the Sunday we couldn't fill them. Had to cancel some of them. Okay. We only be on the radio for 15 minutes, and that's where I met B.B. King. He was in Memphis, but he came on the Saturday morning for, I think it was a half an hour.
Little Wolf was living in Arkansas near Little Rock with his mother and playing in juke joints and that type of thing. And that would have been probably in the 40s. He also was making money by bootlegging booze, and he got caught. And then he got caught again, and he was put in prison. they would make people work. You know, they would make them pick cotton, for instance. And if they picked a lot of cotton, then they'd try to get them to pick more the next day and the next week and the next month, that kind of thing. Well, Wolf went into a sit-down strike kind of thing, and what Tom told me was they put him inside of picking sacks, these big picking sacks, put his body inside of these things. And then they had a horse hold him down with one of its legs, you know, out in the field. And then they took a mixture of axle grease and baking soda and covered up his bruises, you know, to disguise them, you know, the bruises, so that the people that did that wouldn't get in any kind of trouble. Then when he was finally let out of the penitentiary, you know, he moved up here and lived with his cousin